Mushy mushy. Today we've got a little quick start game of Dawn of War Soulstorm that I just thought I'd upload because even after all these years, I fucking love playing this game. And if I could get a few more people into the community, that would be fantastic. It'd be even easier to get games going. Because at the moment, I mean, it's not too hard to get games going at peak times, so in the evenings at the weekends. But if you try playing off peak times, yeah. You can get a game going, but it won't be a quick start game. And I love quick start games. So this is a quick start match played on Cassia Luteum. So quick start, as you imagine, rather than starting with a small amount of resources, we start with a shit ton. And there's quite a thriving little online community that specializes in playing these game types. So I'm not playing with any mods. No like Ultimate Apocalypse. I'm not even playing with any zoom out mods. And before people start having a go at me, first of all, I don't claim to be some pro at this game. I'm pretty good, but I'm certainly not some ridiculous pro. And the reason I'm not using any hotkeys is because I'm actually playing this on my laptop away at the moment, and I don't have access to my gaming PC, and just trying to find the hotkeys on a keyboard that's different just feels wrong. And you might every now and then notice actually that my cursor kind of flicks when I'm not intending it to, because I didn't disable my mouse pad, and with this being an older game, rather than using WASD to move the camera around, you have to use arrow keys. So occasionally I flick it over, and I definitely don't do things as efficiently as I could. But it doesn't change too much. So with a quick start game, the main difference is rather than it be about countering units and I don't want to say and about strategy. There is strategy, but it's a different type of strategy. It's a lot more about trying, rather than like the micro of trying to like interact with certain units, it's more about like the macro idea, and my allies thinking me there for some reason. So with the extra resources, we're going to build a whole bunch of Dark Reapers early on. That's going to be like the main backbone of our force throughout the match from early to late. We have upgraded the Guardians squad, which isn't fantastic. In fact, I really should have sent them out to the center to do a little bit of scouting, but they play. I mean, even in standard games, Guardian squads don't play a massive role, and except out like 1v1s, they can be useful, but in 3v3 games, they're just outclassed way too quickly. So we're going to tech up quite quickly. I like to play it quite aggressively. As you can see, I've sent a Bone Singer, so that's one of my builder units out to try and get some aggressive early building placements out, because one of the reasons why I like the Eldar, and they're my main race, also because they're just generally quite powerful, and I fucked that up actually. I messed up the build order. I was trying to have another builder put a listening post down and accidentally clicked that one. And what I do normally like to do is I like to put that webway gate that as you can see, I've half finished, because in case I mess this up, at least that way I have some form of forward operation, but that fell apart. So the Eldar, really strong strength for them. In fact, if you play quick start games, you'll find Eldar, Space Marines, and Necrons are like the three strongest. The other ones you can play, but they're not quite as powerful or seen as meta, at least not in a quick start game. The other races, there's different maps, different play modes. Imperial Guard, for instance, very powerful on some more claustrophobic, smaller scale maps, I find. But one of the things I like about the Eldar is if you fuck up like I have now, and yeah, I'm hitting tier 2, but I've got my research building out, whose name has completely escaped me, and I've got a vehicle out, vehicle production facility, vehicle support platform. So we're hitting tier 2. And with the Soulstone, that's the name of it, we've started upgrading the 2 upgrades that increase Dark Reapers, well, not just Dark Reapers, but most aspect units attack damage at range, their total range, and their health, which is always the 2 you want to go for, and then the extra tier when we go up another level. And as you can see on the left-hand side here, our ally has actually dropped the ball a little bit. He's put some webway gates, same as I have done, to try and make a sneaky attack. But I think he's focused too much on getting that unit out and teching up that he hasn't actually built an army. So he's in kind of a bit of danger here. So we're just going to send our Dark Reapers over to deal with that. really, really big thing when it comes to quick start games, and I think that's why a lot of newer players are quite intimidated by them, is that you need to be doing a lot of different things at once. You can see I'm kind of flicking around the map quite a lot. If ever a builder's not doing something, that's bad. In fact, one of the reasons why I have all of these turrets out here is I'm planning on doing quite an aggressive attack, and at least that way, if I have some turrets, they're not going to be able to defend my base, but they're at least going to be able to buy enough time to get some form of defense in. In actual fact, I think the Eldar have, and yeah, Dark Reaper's just absolutely obliterating them. You have the fast, yeah, my ally was in quite a bit of danger. He had flamer units to like break them around, and then heavy bolters to actually do the killing. But with me helping out, shouldn't be a problem. And we're just kind of going to ignore it. You make quite a lot of liberal use of attack commands just because you have to be commanding so many things at the same time that you don't have time to oversee it. So Quick Start is a lot more of a macro game, whereas a standard game is a lot more micro, I would probably argue. So what a big mistake that a lot of people have made, in fact, even my ally on the left, and to a certain extent my ally on the right as well, they've been building up and teching up. They haven't been capping their points and putting listening posts on it. And that's a big problem with that is, and you'll find a lot of players will do this, that you have so many resources early, and a lot of time, like a very quick and cheeky rush can end the other player. But it's not good to rely on that, because if that fails, you then have no plan B. So you want to, and because you have enough resources, I mean, as you can see, I've almost got down to the bottom of my 10,000 requisition that I've started with, but I've already got almost 200 coming in. So you want to be doing both. You want to be building up an army to attack, but you don't want to be neglecting your economy, because if you do, then you're really susceptible to a counter-attack. And sometimes I'm quite good at defending. The Eldar have some of the best turrets. I would say the Eldar and the Necrons. The Eldar, because you can get your turrets invisible, which can catch a lot of people off guard. If you just kill the enemy spotters, then they can't even attack your turrets. And the Necrons, because with the other races, you have to go, oh, is it anti-infantry or anti-vehicle? Necrons, oh, why not both? And also at longer range. The Necron turrets are just horrendously OP. So we built a vehicle support vehicle behind the enemy, and now we're going to attack. So Wraith Lords are probably the best tanking units the Eldar have. Most of their units are quite squishy. And especially with our Dark Reapers being very long range, I like to... They hadn't even capped the relic, oh my. So yeah, this Red Space Marine player has focused quite a lot on an early cheesy assault. In fact, he was going for a lot of assault marines because he was probably going to fly him over and try to attack like weakened areas of the enemy, or sorry, of our allies' base. And because we've now come in to attack him, it's completely thrown him off guard in the same way that he initially threw our ally off guard. And I do find a lot of players, they don't quite get into this mindset where you have to be attacking and defending. You have to be doing both. They focus so heavily on one aspect that they neglect one other, and they're like very vulnerable to exactly this happening. So we're going to kind of leave that. One thing I like to do, and I think one of the more underutilized weapons of the Eldar arsenal is the Bright Lance. So the Bright Lance doesn't do much damage. It's classified as an anti-vehicle weapon. But one thing that's fantastic about it is that it lowers the armor of anything it hits. So Dark Reapers do great damage against infantry, and they're actually not awful against vehicles. But if you mix some Bright Lances in with them, a Bright Lance tags a vehicle, and suddenly your Dark Reapers are ripping through them. Now obviously Fire Dragons are better, and in fact we're going to take control of these Fire Dragons here because they're kind of attacking infantry and that's not making the best use of them. So we're just going to take this squad to take out the enemy turrets. And a lot of times when fights like this go on, what you want to do is have your whole army to attack move, and then as the attacks going on, you want to take control of like individual squads to make sure they're actually attacking the units they should be attacking. And there we go, we've completely caught them off guard, and the Red Space Marine has thrown in the towel. He's gone. Which, I mean, he probably could have made a bit of a comeback, but I think also with the Blue Eldar helping us out. I mean, yeah, he had the Blue Space Marines coming up. I don't know, I think he threw in the towel. He definitely could have, probably could have made it, well, maybe he could have made a comeback, but that's why I like to do a very aggressive attack early on. when they're unprepared. The longer a game goes on, as you imagine, if they know what they're doing, the more dug in they're going to get. So having a very quick attack like this, yes, it does delay me a little bit. I mean, not massively with quick start. In a standard game, it would. But it's drawing my attention a little bit, so I can't like focus on building up my base. But even then, that's why you hold down shift and you set up a whole bunch of buildings to build one after the other. And okay, we're a little bit delayed, but we can delay the enemy a lot more. And so, I mean, I'm not as good at Age of Empires. I've never been good at that game. I've tried to get good at it. I'm just not. But if you see any like Age of Empires tournaments, you'll see a similar idea where there's always scouting going on. They're trying to throw the enemy off guard early, you know, get the damage in early. And so I wanted to kind of keep this momentum going, see if we could take out the blue Space Marine before he gets too dug in. That said, he has gotten quite dug in already. We've managed to take out the orbital relay. We've sent this Fire Dragons over still with that. So the orbital relay is like what makes Space Marines Space Marines. You can only build one of them, but it allows them to start dropping drop pods down. And it's why they're so good in these type of game modes. If they can start dropping units in your base, it is so hard to get rid of them because they'll just be a relentless onslaught of Space Marines and Dreadnoughts just dropping behind your base. So the Space Marines are very good when they're on the attack. A little bit less on the defense, I would say, although they do have the tools there, but their bases aren't as easily defendable as, say, like the Necrons are or the Eldar are. And at this point, I'm starting to notice, and especially with the Tau coming on the top ridge there. So our ally on the right has given up his attack, or maybe he's just regrouping. He managed to throw him off guard a little bit, but as you can see, yeah, he's attacking again, but he's just consolidating his troops. And with that, I'm starting to notice that my attack's actually failing at the moment. So I'm going to start pulling them back in just a second, which isn't the end of the world. I mean, this attack has achieved what it intended to achieve. It's already taken a player out, so it succeeded. And in that process, as you can see on the top left, we're taking in 400 requisition and 350 power. And that is the maximum rate you can achieve. Over the course, as the game runs on for longer, you do have points like your power generators and your listening points start to decay a little bit. So that will decrease, and the whole idea is that that's trying to force something to happen. If you do then manage to like take a strategic point somewhere, it's going to be worth a lot more because it's not decayed to you, so you can get a lot more out of it. And one thing I like to do, and I don't know how many other players do this, but I find with Quick Start, because you're having to make quite liberal use of control whole army, attack this region because you've just got so much shit going on. What I like to do is to actually trap our Avatar of Khaine. So the Avatar, when we get him, normally you have like 20 pop cap. When you get the Avatar and he costs 5 himself, that goes up to 24. So you lose 1 pop cap, which I actually think is quite decent because then you always have 1 pop cap for Harlequin, because all squads will cost 2, Harlequin only costs 1, and Harlequin is one of the units that you can actually use to spot infiltrated units. So what I like to do is put Baby in the corner and build a bunch of webway gates around him. And that way, when I do select my whole army to do an attack move, I don't need to worry about the Avatar going in. Avatar is incredibly, incredibly powerful, but he is much more useful, in my humble opinion. In fact, no, I'm just going to say objectively. He's objectively more powerful as a support unit. So he increases the rate of production of all of units. That's why everything has like this glow to it now. And also he increases your pop cap to 30 of your vehicles. So from 20 to 30, that's 10 more. So you're losing 1 in infantry for 10 more in vehicle. That's huge. And I find if ever you do lose the Avatar, it's a pain in the ass to get him back. You'll find that you'll have to lose a lot of your vehicles before you can make more, because your pop cap's over. And also because you'll probably have maximum infantry at most times because you need to have a big army, you then have to start deleting your units to get your Avatar in, and it's just not ideal. So I like to keep the Avatar away in the back, and that way if I do get attacked, I can just delete a couple of the webway gates, send them out to defend as like a last line of defense, and guys on the right have thrown in the towel as well. So we'll just send in the final attack, just a big old assault over there. And even though I know this is kind of in the bag at this point, I'm still, building generators, building turrets, building stuff for my base, constantly expanding, because you never know. Maybe both your allies drop at some point. It happens, and you you don't want to lose after you've gone through all this. So I'm using the Bone Singers by teleporting them through the webway. But another reason, the Eldar are so good in these situations, just because their ability to move out quite quickly. I've had it before where I've lost my base, and I've ended up, like, it was kind of a situation where I had to just commit to attacking the enemy base behind, lost my own base, destroyed the enemy base, and just rebuilt over there. And I was able to rebuild my base quicker than he could rebuild in my area, and we ended up winning as a result. And this is, unfortunately, just one of the joys that you sometimes come across with older games, and that the server has hung. But, I mean, this game's basically in the bag. We're just running down the last of them. Metal on the right is going to come in and sandwich him. And unfortunately, I mean, he played it pretty well. He did a good job of trying to defend his ally, but just an unfortunate one. But yeah, this was a quick start game in Dawn of War. I do play standards as well from time to time. I do play all races, although Eldar is the one I tend to end up falling back on the most. Probably Eldar and Necrons, I find, probably because they're the strongest. I just find them fun to play. So yeah, come and join us. It's a fun game. Come online and play.